Welcome to Going for the Green. I'm Brad Thomas here with Brentley Romine, the special guest. And you guys know what time it is. It is the Open Championship. Brentley, how are things going for you?
Brad, I'm doing well, but not as well as you after that genius pick last week at the Evian Championship. Take a bow real quick.
Man, I was stressing out like a poor round three after having a three-stroke lead to start on Saturday. Needed a miracle run to end. Ayaka Fiordaway gets it done. Single bullet at that. Single bullet, one golfer. So stoked. That was a ride.
Yeah, Mother Nature was trying to jam her for a second there. A lot of weather delays, and glad she was able to get it done. I mean, you make a lot of birdies, chances are you're going to win a tournament like the Evian.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of that experience came to light there. Not crumbling down the stretch, but pushing forward. But let's talk about the Open Championship here. I'm really excited because I'm going kind of back to the well that I was on for the Scottish Open, and that's Rory McIlroy. Bryson DeChambeau said something along the lines of, you can't, or he doesn't think it's possible to overpower Royal Troon. You have to be very strategic out here. If there were to be a golfer that I think could overpower Royal Troon, it would either be Bryson DeChambeau or Rory McIlroy. But Rory McIlroy and Bryson as well are playing. He's playing on a totally different planet right now. Him, Bryson, Scotty Scheffler, and occasionally Xander Schauffele. They're just playing different golf. I thought that we would have a legitimate chance for Rory McIlroy to win the Scottish Open. And I think had Rory known that Ludwig Åberg would struggle in the Sunday round, he probably would have put together a little bit better of a round on Sunday. It looked like he was kind of just plodding along, wasn't sharp on his approach shots, didn't putt particularly well. He didn't putt well the whole tournament, lost strokes in rounds 1, 3, and 4. But that's okay, right? That's to be expected after a 3-week layoff. Well, guess what? Put up a T4 performance. I'm going back to him. Top 10. He's finished inside the top 10 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last. Oh, it was 6 of his last 7 events. Rory McIlroy can get it done here. I actually like him to win, but I haven't found a price that's actually playable.
Yeah, he's actually T12 or better in 9 of his last 11 majors too. So a top 10 for Rory McIlroy seems almost kind of like a lock. But I think Bryson is absolutely right about this golf course. And when you look at some of the other courses on the open road, specifically like a St. Andrews comes to mind, that's a course where you can pretty much miss as far left as you want to miss. It's pretty wide open. There's not a ton of penalty. Royal Troon is on the opposite end of that spectrum. There's gorse everywhere, some of the more penal pot bunkers, I think. And so length will still help, especially when you're talking about that front 9 where you really have to take advantage before you come back in. Most of those holes in the back play into the wind. Number 11, the Railway, is actually the toughest hole on the entire open rota. So I think length will help, especially going downwind, being able to carry some of those pot bunkers, but you're going to have to give yourself plenty of chances from the fairway. It's no secret that Henrik Stenson hit predominantly 3-wood off the tee en route to winning here in 2016. I like Rory with you. I mean, coming off that emotional victory, or not victory, but near victory at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. I think last week at the Scottish, though, you can't really take a ton of stock in maybe a non-traditional links course like the Renaissance Club. To see him get back on the saddle, I think that gives me a lot of positivity in terms of rolling with Rory again this week.
Yeah, Rory. Another guy who I'm really excited about is Collin Morikawa. First and foremost, if you look at his stat profile, you're going to see that he lost strokes off the tee last week. But when we look at these strokes gain metrics, we have to remember that a single shot, a single drive into a pot bunker can derail your entire stat profile. So I could throw him losing strokes off the tee because he did hit it into the pot bunker where he ended up having to pitch out. And I think he made bogey or worse on that hole. Collin Morikawa has been playing phenomenal golf, and the strategic aspect, or like you said, Brentley, giving yourself chances out of the fairway, that's Collin Morikawa. The man hits fairways, and I think he's long enough, right? Like I was on Brian Harman last year, and Brian Harman did it a little bit of different way. He hit fairways, but really, I don't think he had the length to kind of challenge any of the trouble that's ahead. Morikawa is a little longer, a little more strategic off the tee. I think Morikawa also presents something that I haven't quite talked about yet, and that's his proximity with his approach shots. He's not just hitting greens, he's hitting greens effectively in good areas. Basically what that means, if he's not close to the pin, he's leaving it in good spots. Here at Royal Troon, it could be the difference. 5 feet, 2 feet could be the difference of having a great putt and a chance for birdie, or being off and you're really struggling to make to save par here. So I took him to win, and I took him top 20. The man's been automatic top 20. Hasn't finished outside the top 20 since what? I don't know, Valero Texas Open.
Yeah.
That's a long list of tournaments right there.
Yeah, and with these large greens at Royal Troon, you definitely don't want to give yourself a ton of 60 and 70 footers, because that's just not a recipe to win. I think if you're going to find a guy to find the fairway, it's going to be Collin Morikawa. He's also gained over a shot per round with the putter 3 of the last 4 starts. So that's always a great sign too, going into a major. You mentioned pot bunkers earlier. Probably about a full shot every time you're in one of those, but it all comes down to luck, I think, a little bit. And why not go with a guy who lives in Vegas to get a little lucky? And speaking of luck, when I look at my middle tier range for DraftKings, here's a guy that has seemed to have bad luck every time I pick him, and that's Corey Connors. But I'm going to go back to the well. Why not pick a flusher on a flusher's golf course? He's got 3 top 10s in his last 5 starts, played well at the U.S. Open, had a top 10 there. He's 3rd in strokes gained approach on the PGA Tour. Obviously it's going to be fairly windy, especially Thursday, maybe into Friday. We're looking at 30, 35 mile per hour gusts. So if Connors can get on the good side of the draw there, I like his chances to kind of contend as we get into the weekend. And, even if he doesn't post another top 10, I think at 7,300 on DraftKings, that's a really good discount for a guy like Corey Connors. And he's been putting it, maybe just a little bit better. So I love him at that price.
Speaking of Corey Connors, there's 2 metrics that really stand out to me. Number 1, strokes gained tee to green, top 10 on the season this year. That's going to be really important here at Royal Troon. And number 2, in those proximity ranges, 125 to 150 and 150 to 175. He's top 10 in both. Absolutely striping the ball right now. I'm going to go with my long shot, Akshay Bhatia. I took him quite some time ago, and I was really excited to see that you could still get 125 to 1 on Bhatia to win this tournament. Let's not forget Bhatia in his last 2 starts, T5, T2, and that T2, he pretty much donated the win there to Mr. Cam Davis at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. But Bhatia is one of those long shots that I think can get hot in the right areas, right? He's going to put his driver in play, and then his wedge game is going to be spectacular. So if he gets in those sticky situations, I really do trust him to kind of get himself out. And we have to remember that this is a long shot, 125 to 1. All we need is a young kid to get hot, or just go and just stripe balls, get hot, make putts. Who knows what's going to happen on Sunday? And you talked about the weather draw, right? It's a lot of randomness with this kind of weather. If he gets on the right side of the draw here, we are absolutely in business, and he'll be a live price come Sunday.
Yeah, speaking of young guys, as much as I really want to pick this guy for my low tier DraftKings guy, and that's Tom McKibben at 6,500, I just can't quite go with it. Although I really like little Rory, the 21-year-old. He's in the top 13, top 15 or so in driving accuracy and strokes gained approach on the DP World Tour. He finished almost top 40 in his first major a few weeks ago at the U.S. Open. So I love Tom McKibben, but I think I like Victor Perez just a little bit better. I was pretty shocked too when I saw that he was at 6,200. I know he had a bad U.S. Open, but I think that was predominantly kind of the last 9 holes. I followed him there. The approach play really let him down, and that's been kind of a anomaly for him. Normally, he's been able to kind of lean on that part of his game. So maybe those turtleback greens at Pinehurst just not the right fit for him. But T10 at the Scottish. Playing well, typically a good driver of the golf ball. 6,200 is an absolute steal for him. And then another stat that we haven't really talked about too much, and I think that's lag putting. He's an inch basically from being number 1 on tour in approach putts. He's top 5 in 3-putt avoidance from outside of 25 feet. Like, especially with the wind up in these large greens, like, guys are going to have some long putts. And so you're going to have to be able to cozy those up there, make your safe pars. And I think Victor Perez can do that for a pretty strong week.
Yeah, absolutely. And the price for Perez, like a T40 or better, is absolutely smashing it. You look, he might not have had the major season that he wanted this year, but last year, Royal Liverpool, T41, T12 at Oak Hill for the PGA Championship. So definitely a great price on Perez. Brentley, this is fun. I hope that we can get another winner across the line. Maybe it'll be Rory. Maybe it'll be Collin. I know we're both on there. Before we go, can you go ahead and promote what you have cooking or what you have out? I did take a look and I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah, I probably should have asked a little bit more of your input for this, but yeah, ranked the entire field 1 through 158. I didn't do write-ups on everyone like I've done in the past, but certainly a good resource, especially for people who do fantasy drafts for these majors. I, for one, am in a pretty good snake draft with some buddies. So a good resource to maybe steal a guy in that 6th or 7th round. So go check that out on golfchannel.com right now. And can I give you a low am bet, since that's kind of
Yes,
my bread and
absolutely.
butter before we go? Everyone's going to be on Gordon Sargent, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
guy bombs it. He's the big name. He's kind of the sexy pick, but keep an eye on Callum Scott. He is this lanky Scott from Texas Tech. Was teammates with Ludwig Oberg for a season or two. Lots of speed, long levers. Isn't afraid to go driving iron a lot to keep it in play off the tee. Obviously, he's from Scotland, as I just mentioned. So he's an absolutely smart pick for low amateur, with a lot of good amateurs in the field, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that your rankings were phenomenal there. So I just want to give you a pat on the back for that. For everyone
Hey, it was not
watching,
over yet, Brad. Golf is still to be played.
hey, still to be played, but listen, when I'm thinking about, fantasy or doing the pools, sometimes you have to ditch the models, especially when it becomes to major season, and you just have to just rank the best players and take the best available whenever you're doing any kind of draft or any kind of pool, because the best guys generally win out.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And that, I wish I could say there was some complicated formula, but there's a lot of gut feeling in there too, about 30% gut.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, everyone watching, thank you for checking us out this week. We got winners on the horizons, winner in the rearview mirror. Make sure you check out NBCsports.com for more information to help you out with your wagers. For Brentley Romine, I'm Brad Thomas. Best of luck this week. Enjoy the tournament.